So we're right a few weeks before Christmas, right? It is December 10th, Thursday, December 10th at 3:31 p.m. I like getting that right down to the minute, I guess. I should probably round that off. But at any rate, updates. Everything is going well as far as the family goes. We go on Christmas break in another 9 days, I think. Indy, right? Is it 9 days? Yes? Yeah. Yeah, we have 6 days of school left, but in 9 days we have the first Saturday, I think. So I think we're pretty good. Still working on getting better lighting for in here, right? That would be helpful, right, Indy? Some better lighting, I think, would be good. But anyway, and tomorrow I hope to have the kids on. Maybe we'll do like a family thing, and we'll have the kids on camera, say hi to all the family members they haven't seen in a very, very long time because of our current situation. But also, sorry, my mouth is a little dry right now, but wanted to share with you some of the things that are going to be coming up as far as podcasting. And you're not going to see me on video too much. I've actually been able to download a new editing software that, according to a good friend of mine, is really wonderful. And hopefully I'll have some great images and video up here. I'll be narrating, of course. It'll be my voice, but with different images and video, which will be nice because I won't have to worry about my lighting issue for at least for right now. And so we're looking at doing some on like the Christmas elves, right? Some of these Christmas legends and lore, whether they're the ones like from the Bible, like the Magi, the birth of Christ and things like that, and all the legends that go with that, but also the Christmas legends that are more on the fringe. We all know about things like Krampus. We know about things like the Christkindl, right? The little Christ child that goes along with Peltzenickel, right? If anyone has seen the Christmas Chronicles 2, which I think was great, I think the whole family loved it. But Belznickel, the character in there, he wasn't always like what he's projected as, or depicted as, I should say, in the Christmas Chronicles 2 isn't the same as the old German lore that he comes from. So we'll be sharing that as well. So again, we're going to go into the Christmas elves. We'll go into the Magi. We'll go into some legends and lore of Christmas itself like that. We'll go into St. Nicholas. And I think share some good things. And so it'll be a lot more edited. Like I said, you'll see some visuals that'll go along with it. We'll talk about the Magi. We'll talk about the manger. We'll talk about whether or not they were at an inn or a grotto, like a cave. I'll give you a hint. It was the cave. It was, although some people do say it was like in the lower levels of the house. But it really depends. I think it's sort of interesting to think of the whole grotto idea as well. And what types of animals, again, were around. Or there are three wise men. Where were they from? And this all ties into the Queen of Sheba and also the riches and wealth of Solomon, Solomon's gold. Anybody that's seen the old movie from the 90s, Congo, sort of about the legend of, right, the killer ape that guarded King Solomon's mines type of things in the lost city of Zinj. So we'll be going into everything like that. And I do believe in good presentation as far as facts and evidence. So I do like to differentiate, but what we have as far as legend and lore and the actual material or archaeological evidence, written documentation, and what they would call primary sources and things like that too. So you'll be getting kind of a mix of everything. You'll be getting, here's what we know to be fact as far as the materials, or material evidence, as they call it, which is basically excavated or archaeological evidence, things that are left behind by human beings. Maybe going into, I was going to say the fossil record, but we're not going back that far, guys. But it was just popped into my head. But more into the written legends and lore, because again, and you'll hear me say it time and time again, there's an old quote, I can't remember who it's by, and I usually just paraphrase it instead of saying it word for word. But basically, a legend may not be a fact, but the fact is that legends exist. And the fact that they do exist, that requires an explanation. They don't just materialize out of nowhere. They're there for a reason. They're there for a purpose. Just like with the old fairy tales, like the Grimm's fairy tales. When you get after the fall of the Roman Empire and you get the barbarian invasions, from all over, you have the Goths, right? Like you have the Visigoths and you've got the Ostrogoths in certain areas. Basically what you have are these people come in, later known as the Franks, but they come in and they see the ruins of this splendid empire and region and even the city of Rome. And so they see these massive buildings. They see the Colosseum, they see the aqueducts, and they think they're built by either sorcerers or giants because they have no concept of Roman engineering. And because they lack the ability or the written record of what was going on there, like what we would call blueprints, they just didn't understand it. And so these legends arose from there. But again, legends don't come out of nowhere. They don't spring forth out of nowhere. And in these times, in what we would call the Dark Ages, between the fall of the Roman Empire and then later on towards the Middle Ages and the High Middle Ages, we have this period, again, they call the Dark Ages or the Early Middle Ages, where you don't have a lot of knowledge. And thank God for the Irish monks that wrote a lot of stuff down, because that's where we get a lot of our information from for this period of time. However, getting back to the Grimm's fairy tales, and again, I may segue or I may go off on a tangential thought here and there, but I'm usually pretty good at bringing it back around to the central point. The point being, these things exist for a reason, right? You've heard me say that even in this message a few times. Well, these fairy tales arose because instead of having these great and grand cities with these roads that led to other cities, they were much more isolated. They were much more to themselves, and often, like, the forest represented some type of darkness, some type of evil. There could be something lurking in there. And so to get your kids to stay out of it, you tell them these stories. Hey, don't go in there. There's a witch in there. Oh, no, you're in Russia. Oh, I'm sorry. There's the Baba Yaga with their chicken leg house. Be careful. She's going to take you and eat you. Things like that. And so, again, these things don't come out of a vacuum. They come from somewhere. And again, I apologize for the dry mouth issue I've got going on. Have a really massive headache, eyes hurt, had nosebleeds, I think maybe a sinus infection. So I'm a little plugged up. My apologies, and probably too much information for anyone to want to know, but that's what's going on up here. So no fever, no virus. I'm good. But otherwise, yeah, these are the things that you would tell your kids to get them to behave. And we even do so now. And again, like Krampus, right? Or like my German from Russia side of my family, they had the Pelzernickel, Nicholas of the Pelt. That's what it meant. Nickel meant Nicholas, and pelts or bells meant pelt, like a wolf pelt, right? Like a skin. And that's what they would wear, so they would scare the kids. And they would basically be there to keep kids in line. And they'd ask the parents, do the kids know their Catholic prayers? Do they know? Have they been good all year? Have they misbehaved? Oh, they have. Well, let me just grab Junior off of mommy's skirt and yank him out here and smack him around with a couple of switches, right? That's what they would do. And I know it sounds messed up to people today, but that's what they did. And so then often they would put them in a sack and take them out somewhere and let them go, and they'd have to make their way home. Now, people like Indy, my daughter, right? Indy, does that sound nice to you? That sound fair? No? Yeah? They can't hear you nod. You got to say it. Does it sound cool? No? No. It's messed up, right? These poor kids would be terrorized. And it just so happens that I was born, and it's funny, I was born on December 5th, which is Krampusnacht, right? Or Krampusnacht, Krampus's night, who is basically the horned demon that would hang out with Santa Claus. He was sort of like the anti-Santa, and he would basically be there to terrorize kids. So it's interesting. But anyway, we'll be going into some of these myths, legends, and lore. Sorry about me slurring my S's, but we'll get there. Yes, Indy, you have something? It's okay to speak up. Oh, your guitar lesson starts in about 6 minutes. You're okay. Indy has guitar lessons today, and Daddy, of course, has laundry in and everything else going on. So you'll forgive me for speaking faster than I usually do. I've had a lot of coffee today, but it is decaf. Although I do have to recommend it. I can't remember the company that made it, but it's called Highlander's Grog, and it's basically a decaffeinated version of what is it? Butterscotch and rum. So I don't drink, so I wouldn't have either of these at full strength or with alcohol, but it's a really good decaf. I like it. So if anyone ever gets a chance, you can Google Highlander Grog, Grog, and that's the type of coffee I'm on, and it is decaf. This is me decaffeinated. So hopefully everybody's having a good time. Hopefully everybody is staying safe, right? Using wisdom in everything that you do, and walking in the fruit of the Spirit that I mentioned constantly: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those are the fruit of the Spirit, and those are evident in your life if you are walking in the Spirit and not fulfilling the works of the flesh, right? So that's always a good thing. I'm going to sign off here in a minute because Indy does have her guitar lesson. She has a virtual guitar lesson that she does, and a little sort of smaller guitar, like a half or 3/4 size that she plays and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But again, we're going to have some really cool things coming up. Also, the 12 days of Christmas. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it over all 12 days or just do it at once on perhaps maybe around the 13th or so. But we're going to be talking about not Santa Claus, but another sort of anti-Claus that's out there. 12 Days of Christmas. It involves some wolves and an individual. I'm not going to say who it is, but it goes back a long time, and we'll get into that a little bit. Meanwhile, I hope everybody is appreciating the cultural contribution of my Germanic ancestors with the Christmas tree and with the presents, along with the fact that the ancient Egyptians did something similar as well. So that's pretty cool too. I'm a diehard diffusionist when it comes to things like that, which means I do believe that instead of, I don't want to get into trouble here, but I know that when people move and migrate to different places, that their customs and their cultures are sort of introduced to those places and sometimes adopted, not assimilated completely, but sort of adopted into these new culture or into these existing cultures, like a host culture or country, for instance. And from there, you would pick up on those things and develop them, right? And that's how we have certain things that are similar in different places because people may have traveled there. Again, these are different theories. The history books may say one thing, and I may also a really diehard historian. I believe in the material record as far as history. I believe in the written record. But also, just like you'll hear time and time again from people, history is written by the winners most of the time, right? And it's also repetitive because we never seem to learn. We never seem to learn. Hopefully we'll get that right one of these days before the eastern sky splits open and the King of Glory steps through on this side, and we'll see what we'll see then. So God bless everybody. Take care. I should be on in probably about another 45 minutes to an hour or so after Indy's guitar lesson. I'll be on here talking about a few things more in depth. And again, if you have any questions about a certain topic, please let me know. We'll be getting into angels. We'll be getting into the Christmas star. And again, I love dealing with things like Santa's elves and all these little things. I mean, there's a tale one of my family members told me about, an Irish sort of a legend. I don't know if it was a family legend or if it was an actually a cultural legend or not, but about how Santa got through the front door sort of like Ant-Man. I know it sounds funny. It sounds crazy, but it was an elf. He used to kind of shrink down to a very small size in case he didn't have a chimney, because I would ask, hey, how does Santa get in without a chimney? Well, how does he get in? Well, it's this little elf. Shrinks on down, goes under the door like Ant-Man, right? Now the quantum realm or something, and unlocks the door. Or maybe because we do have things like quantum entanglement. We don't know. We have teleportation, maybe. Who knows, guys, right? Who knows? And like everybody asked, is St. Nicholas a real person? He is Nicholas of Myra. So we'll be going into that. And I'm sorry I'm hitting on so much information, but I don't want to forget and then not do it later, right? I've got to keep it going. All right. You guys take care. Stay safe. You all have our prayers and our love, and you walk in the grace and the mercy of God and in his love and in his will. Treat people kindly, right? I have a phrase. What is it called? Love God, be kind to animals, and tolerate one another. Tolerate people at the very least. All right. You guys take care. All right. Bye-bye.